Hey everybody, and Tony here with a review of Verdi's Aida, which was live from the Salzburger Festspielhaus. The conductor was Riccardo Mutti, the production was done by Shirin Neshat, the sets were done by Christian Schmidt, the costumes were done by Tatjana van Weisum, the lights were handled by Reinhard Taub, the cameraman was Martin Geschlacht, the choreographer was Thomas Wilhelm, and the dramaturgy was handled by Bettina Auer. I was anticipating this particular production of Aida because this was the first time Anna Netrebko was going to sing the titular heroine. Yes, there was also Francesco Meli who was going to sing Radames for the first time, but I was mainly anticipating Netrebko's first Aida, which I will gladly talk about much later in this review, but first, my thoughts on the production. Overall, I found it to be quite interesting. While it may not have the overall grandiosity, the overall pomp, and that overall majesty that any traditional Aida production has, it manages to compensate it for great character development and even showing a great character constellation from not only Radames, Aida, and Amneris, but also the paternal figures of Ramphis, the king of Egypt, and Amonasro. From what I've read, the story is not mainly about Radames's, Aida's, and Amneris' love for each other, with it being a complete love triangle, but how they want to break free from the paternal clutches and the overall society that Ramphis, the king of Egypt, and Amonasro have in store for them. So even though the scenery was quite bare, there were some buildings and there were some moments that kind of made it really, really good. Like the holographic images of Aida's enslaved Ethiopian people, and even that of the holographic images of the priests during Amneris' judgment scene. I thought those were really well done in terms of its visual aspects and how they managed to present themselves. And I also thought that the dancing minotaurs kind of made this production stand out quite well. So overall, I thought the production was quite good when it came to its aesthetics and what it wanted to tell, even though I would have loved to have a lot more scenery, a lot more extravagance, and a lot more grandiosity. This is Aida after all, and it's been pretty well known for, shall we say, scenery porn, which is something I deeply admire in any production of Aida. But I have to say that the costumes look really gorgeous. I not only love Amneris' choice of costumes, which look absolutely amazing on her, but also that of the priest's orthodox-like costumes, and even that of the priestess's orthodox-like costumes. What I've noticed is that the action seems to be transported from the ancient times and manages to give it a mixture of ancient and somewhat modern, which I found quite interesting, especially reflected on the costumes, which nonetheless looked really colorful, quite grand, and absolutely amazing to watch. So overall, I thought the entire production and costumes looked really good, not only aesthetically, but also in terms of concepts. And now we get to the singers, starting off with Anna Netrebko, who sang the role of Aida. Now at first I was quite skeptical as to how Netrebko would hold up, because we have at our disposal all the great Aidas of the past, like Gina Gina, Stella Roman, Birgit Nilsson, Gladys Kochta, Ingrid Bjorna, Leontine Price, Maria Callas, and many other great singers who performed this iconic role. But after I heard her very first Aida, I have to say that Anna Netrebko did a fine job vocally, and she managed to inhabit the role quite well. What I've always loved about Anna Netrebko is her overall dedication as a singer, as she managed to really sing all of her lines very well with a lot of focus and that really fine, dark colored and gorgeous instrument which she has, and she managed to throw herself into the role quite well. She managed to make Aida a very tragic yet beautiful figure, but at the same time, it's all reflected on how she managed to modulate her voice all throughout the evening, and I thought she did a superb job all throughout. She was involving as a singing actress, and I just really hope that she will sing a lot more of these full lyric / spinto roles, because this was definitely the area in which her voice was going to, the full lyric slash spinto route. So I have to give a lot of credit to Anna Netrebko for a job well done in terms of singing Aida. She managed to hold up really well, and she was simply put fine in this role. She had not one vocal flaw when singing Aida, and she just managed to hold everything together quite well. Francesco Meli was quite solid as Radames, even though I do prefer a true Heldentenor, the likes of Ramon Vinay, Seth Svalnholm, Max Lorenz, Lauritz Melchior, Mario Del Monaco, Carlo Bergonzi, Franco Corelli, and many other great dramatic slash Heldentenors who have sung Radames, I still have to give credit to Francesco Meli for a job well done when it comes to singing Radames. He did not bark the part whatsoever. In fact, he sang it so elegantly, and I loved that high B flat diminuendo after Celeste Aida. And he also managed to use those diminuendo high notes in the final scene, O Te Radio, which I thought he sang so superbly with Anna Netrebko's Aida and Ekaterina Zemenchuk's Amneris. His characterization of Radames was okay. He managed to make him dashing and really loyal and handsome, and he was just an overall dashing figure, and I have to say that he certainly improved as a singing actor. And he seems to go from strength to strength, especially when it comes to the roles he's been singing. And even though I do feel like Radames was a bit heavy for him, I still have to give him credit for how he managed to embody this particular character. He managed to sing this role superbly, and he just had a lot of style to back him up. But more than anything, he has certainly improved over the years. He's certainly developed as a singing actor, and he's certainly become a lot more involved in his craft, and I have to give him a great amount of kudos for that. And here's hoping that he will go further from strength to strength, and I just wish him all the best of what his career has to offer. However, when it came to the three pivotal characters of Aida, Radames, and Amneris, I thought that Ekaterina Zemenchuk stood the tallest of how she managed to sing and act the role. First of all, she has a gorgeous figure on stage. She was regal, she was tall, she was beautiful, and she managed to embody Amneris really well. And she was quite great as a singing actress. I've been hearing a couple of clips from Ekaterina Zemenchuk's singing, mainly from her interpretations of Lady Macbeth from Verdi's Macbeth, and even snippets of her Amneris. And I have to say that this was a singer I am really excited to talk about because she is definitely dedicated to her craft, and she certainly showed no signs of slowing down whatsoever, and her judgment scene was absolutely brilliant. Sure, we have at our disposal some of my most favorite Amnerises, the likes of Shirley Verrett, Grace Bumbry, Tatiana Troyanos, Gena Dimitrova, Giovanna Cassola, Fiorenza Cosotto, Giulietta Simeonato, Chloe Elmo, Ebe Stignani, Rossidelli, Astrid Varnay, and many other superb dramatic mezzos and dramatic sopranos who have sung this particular role. Yet despite all that, I thought that Ekaterina Zemenchuk stood really well on her own 2 feet. She was able to be quite involving as a singing actress, and she managed to use glamour to her advantage when it came to embodying Amneris. And of course, her vocal resources were at their absolute prime. So here's hoping that she will stay as magnificent as a singing actress, and here's hoping that she'll have a lot more gigs in the near future. And it's not just the 3 pivotal figures of Aida, Radames, and Amneris who sang the role superbly, all thanks to Anna Netrebko, Francesco Meli, and Ekaterina Zemenchuk, but also the paternal figures of Ramses, the King of Egypt, and Amonasro. And my goodness, do we have such wonderful singers to embody these roles. Starting off with Ramses, we have Dmitry Biloselsky, who managed to give this role a great amount of nobility, strength, and he just has an overall tall and commanding stage presence. And it's also backed up by his basso profondo slash basso cantante voice, which has that roundness and richness, which I love so much. And he just has that type of masculinity and that overall regal presence, which made me feel glued to my seat every time he was on stage. And he was superb all around. He managed to stand superbly on his own 2 feet in this role, and he just did an amazing job embodying Ramses. Then we go to Roberto Tagliavini, who sang the role of the King of Egypt, and he had a solid basso cantante voice and a fine stage presence. And he also made great use of this pretty small character. So I have to give Signore Tagliavini a great amount of kudos for everything he did with the role of the King of Egypt, embodying the king with a lot of nobility, strength, dignity, and a great amount of musicianship to have made him stand out really, really well. Luca Saisi was exceptional as Amonasro, and it's all thanks to that round and rich dramatic baritone voice, and it's one of those voices I have been longing to hear more often. And I cannot wait to see him live, because as I heard him sing Amonasro, there is not only a beautiful sounding voice, but also that roundness and richness I love so much in dramatic baritones, and that good amount of incision that he had when singing Amonasro. I thought he managed to do a very great job from beginning to end, and he really showed a lot of endurance, thus giving the role of Amonasro a great amount of strength, fury, and just a lot of charisma, all thanks to Luca Saisi's great dramatic baritone voice. Bror Magnus Turdenes was extremely solid as the messenger, all thanks to his tall, handsome, and dashing stage presence and equally magnificent lyric tenor voice. And Benedetta Torre was beautiful as the high priestess, all thanks to that gorgeous lyric soprano voice, which has a great amount of potential to grow. And she managed to inhabit this role with a great amount of nobility and inner strength that she gives to this character role. So overall, the singing was absolutely superb all across the border. And all my kudos has to go to Anna Netrebko for her magnificent role debut as Aida. And the conducting done by Riccardo Muti was well done. And even though Riccardo Muti is not one of my favorite opera conductors of all time because of how he wants to make sure that everything is done come scritto, or how it's written, and he tries to make sure that everything is as it is without any singer popping out a few extra high notes here and there, I still have to give him a good amount of credit for how he managed to lead the orchestra. Granted, there were some moments which kind of dragged to my ears, but overall it was a fine package which he managed to deliver, and the chorus and orchestra of the Salzburger Festspielhaus were absolutely amazing, as they've always been. So overall, with Anna Netrebko standing really tall in her role debut as Aida, and with a production that was quite interesting in its concept, I have to say that this is a must-watch if you are a major fan of Anna Netrebko. And for those of you who watched this particular production of Verdi's Aida at the Salzburger Festspielhaus, what did you think of it? Did you feel like Anna Netrebko did an amazing job in her role debut as Aida? Did you feel like there was another singer who stole her thunder? Or did you feel like there was something that just didn't really hold up, whether it be the production or the singers? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in later for my review of Ildar Abdrazakov's concert at the Teatro Rossini. So until then, have a great day, everybody.